product is something that everybody, for example, Yanjibiti, the site is live. You can go there, check it, yanjibiti.ai. Let me say my market. You can go there and check it out. And it solves a specific problem. In the case of Yanjibiti, it solves the text to speech problem. And it gets used even when you are asleep. Personally, for me, anytime I wake up and I check the GPT stuff, I'm always amazed when I see people at night, like checking it out. Oh, wow, people are really using this thing. So if what you are building, nobody's using it, right? You just have a hobby, not a product. What you built might be cool, but because nobody's using it, you have to move from that layer of this thing is cool. It's cool to see. It's cool for me. It's cool to brag to my guys about. But is it good enough for people to use it, right? So the first problem is finding a problem. That's like the first step. Finding the friction. It was AI that created those slides. So sorry for the word difference. So look for problems in your own hostel, campus, or street. In the case of screenshotter for me, I saw that somebody built screenshotter, and it was somebody built. There was if you are very vast on Twitter, like 2 to 3 years ago, there's one bot Picasso underscore me that help people screenshot tweets. I saw that bot and I was like, how did this guy do this thing? I went to that's like finding the problem because I saw somebody do something and I wanted to do it by myself. That's how I found that problem. But a problem could be something you are facing. In school, for example, it could be a problem that you and all your classmates you are facing. It could be something that you see your dad facing in what he's trying to do. And that's a problem. A problem can be anything. For example, we don't have light in Nigeria. That's a problem. Anything can be a problem. It doesn't have to be one mad. It doesn't have to be one mad idea that is changing the world. It doesn't have to be the next SpaceX or one rock. It doesn't have to be. It can be anything. Just a simple problem. So when you find that problem, the robotic gap is what is tagged. But what it basically means is identify where existing products don't cover. For example, now, let me use electricity as an example. There's no light, but there's no light, but in Nigeria now, we have generator. Generator is a solution that has been created to solve the light problem. But there are still some gaps that generator doesn't cover. For example, now generator is noisy. And solar is an alternative that solves that problem. So you look at existing solutions that solves that problem or tries to solve that problem and identify gap where they fail. Nobody is perfect. For example, the way we used to do search with Google normally, it was perfect to all of us. And now the ChatGPTs of this world are there that we now use to even search for stuff. So just find that small gap that they don't cover. It could be just small thing that they don't cover. That's if there's an existing solution, don't cover. And just build up on it. For me, what I try to do is because I'm playing in the local space, don't call me a local champion, but I'm playing in the local space, I try to get an edge over the big tech here. Because big tech, they don't really care about, they don't care about what we are doing here. If they want to build solutions for us, trust me, they can. They have the funding and resources that you can't think of matching. But they don't care about it. So I find spaces where I have an edge. For example, I have an edge in Nigeria over big tech. If they want to, they will have the edge over me. But like they don't have the edge over me now because that's on their focus. And I see that advantage and I take advantage of it. Right? So that is on finding the problem. So constraints I vibe. Yeah. So the screenshotter project I talked about earlier, the screenshotter products I talked about earlier, right? I coded like 99% of it on my phone, right? And for me, the constraint then was, light was very terrible in our area. And even my laptop the laptop I was using then, it's heavy. You know this laptop that are always heavy? Like it works, but it's heavy. And when you switch it on, it takes time to on. So I don't even like the experience of that laptop. But it was a constraint for me that I don't have access to a good enough laptop. And you have to find a way to beat that constraint. In fact, I think constraint is where you find your product edge. For example, I'll mention the constraint for me is I didn't have a laptop, but I had my phone. There was a Spydroid app on Android then, and that was what I used to code. And for me, it was more comfortable for me. I found a way to make it comfortable. I'll just lie down on my bed. The same way you are texting WhatsApp, I'll just open Pydroid and I'll be typing. I used to copy and I'll copy and paste. So that was how it was for me. So that was a constraint, and I was able to get over it. Another thing you have to do is there's for example, financial constraint now. What is the minimum amount you can spend to get this thing to work or to test if it work? Because trust me, if you don't do that calculation that, oh, how much do I need to spend just to confirm that this idea where I get to, if it work, if you don't do that calculation, you spend all your money and you have something, because you can spend millions on a product and your product is not bad, but like the logic you had in your mind exactly is not working. So you have to like audit your resources and get what's the minimum amount I can spend to get this to work? What's the minimum amount of time I can spend on this to see that, oh, this thing actually works? And the next thing is engine over body, right? If the core logic is solid, the hardware doesn't matter. AI just added this. I didn't tell you this, sorry. So yes, so unique data and unique flavor. There's something called domain knowledge, right? I studied mechanical engineering, and if they call all of us to build a model for mechanical engineering, I think I should do better than you. The only person who will do better than me is somebody who's actually a mechanical engineer in the field. And that's because he has an edge, because he has done the real work. There's not in my head, I can be speaking English, we will automate, we will do all these things. But because I don't have the experience of what the end user is going to face, I don't have, and it's I can also call it data, because a mechanical engineer in that field, no, he has data around, like he has the information around the problem he's facing, and he'll be able to do that better. And in the context of AI models, because that's what I focus on, you actually need data. You need to build. You need data is like is the strength of most AI model, right? Although you can also talk about how much they spend on the algorithm and all, but data is still where the strength lies. If you have the best model and you don't have the best data, your data is still where the strength lies. So you have to be ready to do the extra work. In the case of screenshot, I didn't really need to do any data labeling. But for Yanjibiti, yes, I had to do the data labeling. I had to go the extra mile of the data doesn't exist. I have to build this data set and get it to exist by force, by fire. And on a normal day, that's the point where a lot of people will falter. Because if you are building something, oh, I want to build a model, you realize that there's no data. A lot of people will turn their back because data is where the actual work is. As when you want to sit down and label a data set, let me say you want to label audio data set, you will take more than 24 hours to label a data set of 24 hours. I'm not sure you can even label 4 hours in 24 hours because you are sitting down, you have to listen and typing it down. Right? So that's a major constraint. And there are two ways to cover that constraint. Either you spend money or you actually sit down and find corner way to cross over this thing. So this analogy makes sense. Everybody has rice. The flavor is the seasoning. So everybody can build anything. The flavor, the special thing is what you are adding to it, and that's why I made mention of domain knowledge. For example, a lot of people want to go into AI now. You want to build something around AI, but I think where you have an edge is building an AI around a problem you face, around something you do. For example, if I'm working in the insurance space, it's very easy for me to build a problem. It's very easy for me to solve a problem around that space. Somebody else can want to solve. For example, as me, I studied mechanical engineering. I want to do something in the insurance space. I can try, but the fact that you have that information, you have that knowledge, is always a standout. And this edge also applies over things. For example, if I'm building something for the north, for example, somebody who is in the north has information around his location and he sure knows what the people need. I can build something that makes sense, but people don't need it because he doesn't have that domain knowledge, right? He doesn't have that flavor. So don't over sabi the build, right? One thing I notice about people is you try to make something 100% before you push it out. You try to overthink. Oh, this thing is not special. I don't overthink it. The reason why I'm saying don't overthink the build is whatever you push out eventually might not work out. But the fact that you push it out will give you crazy feedback that you can use to refine. And it's better that people are giving you feedback. The earlier you're getting the feedback, the better for you. Because you can go 1 year building something, and when you put it out, it no work. So don't overthink. Once you build something, just put it out there. Don't pressure yourself. Although I understand, oh, you have to do some product strategizing. And something around me is prior to YanGPT, I didn't really care about all these products strategizing. And that's because I used to work as a solo dev. I don't I don't used to think there's a master plan, although now I appreciate that. But like as someone who is trying to build something for the first time, can easily overcomplicate things by thinking is like further mass you have to do. It's not that hard, because there are some of the things that, oh, I built it simply. I just built it simply and I put it out. Some people have spent so much money to put that out and it just didn't bang. And that's because they over calculated this thing. And me, I was just having fun and I just put it out there. No no stress. So validation, get your receipts. Okay, let me skip this slide. There I added not something else. Okay, right. Meet them where they are. This is my talk about distribution, right? So one idea I have when I'm building anything is I have to make it very easier for people to use, like as fast as possible. I have this orientation that people don't like your app unless you are unless what you're building is very remarkable. I think people don't like my app. And make it if you look at the GPT.ai site, one of the orientations I add is that once you open the site, you can see where to generate the audio as fast as possible. It's very easily accessible. Me as a person, if I don't know if you have people who send you forms or my final project, help me fill this form. I do. Most likely I won't fill the form because when I'm opening it, you're asking me about, oh, you do drink alcohol, rate it 5, 10, 15, 20. It's too complex for me. And because my time is valuable to me, I'm still watching YouTube videos. Not that I'm doing something valuable, but like I have to convince you as fast as possible. Once you open my app, you have to see that, oh, is this thing useful for me? If this is for me, sign in. If it's not useful for me, get out. Like that is the logic I use. Make it accessible. I don't like too much. I don't like too much talk. I'm giving it to you. You are seeing it. You like it. No, you don't like it. On to the next person that like it. But the fact that that accessibility is there, and that's the idea behind I was using for the yanjibis.ai website. If you open it, you can see what my product actually does. You can generate the audio immediately. If you don't like the audio, you are leaving. But first thing first, you can, even if you don't use it, you can go back and go and tell your guy that, oh, I tested the yanjibis.ai. The audio sounded like this. You've had a first-hand experience with my website. It's very accessible to you. But imagine you go to the website and then they are scrolling down, oh, generate audio, and you see a picture of a fine lady, all those things. Some people will read it, but me personally as a person, I wouldn't read it. Like, just give me what you need directly, right? So also format choice actually matters. If you look at screenshotter, I built it as a Twitter bot. I could have also created a website where you can paste your, in fact, I created it eventually. But like my primary source of delivery could have been, oh, a website where you can paste a tweet and download the screenshots. You could have done that. But you have to meet users where they are. It's very easy for a user to tag. It's very easy for a user to tag a bot under a tweet and get their screenshot. It is easier to do that than to, obviously, I know you're thinking it's very easy to screenshot the tweet. Yes, it's more easier to do that. But people love beautiful screenshots, and that was the edge we had. But build your products where people need it. I was a judge at an hackathon recently, and people they were building chatbots, and you have to take me to I have to open a new site to check out your chatbot. And the better idea for me in mind is, why don't just put this chatbot on WhatsApp? People open WhatsApp. It's more easier for them to talk to your talk to your bot on WhatsApp than to open a new website. And that's my perspective. If your website is not a daily driver for me, I wouldn't open it. So that's what I think. Whatever you are building, put it where people need them. You are building a bot for Twitter, put it on Twitter where people need them. It's very easier to do that. And also, yes, open source community, right? So prior to YanGPT or some of even my successful products, I build a lot of products and put them out there. I just release the code base. And with that, you get access to distribution for free, right? Because a lot of people, as a lot of developers mostly, are seeing your work and they're interested in it. And with that, you are making new friends. You are making new friends. You are making new people. New people are seeing your work and they already know you. And the fact that they already know you is a very crucial factor in YanGPT. When I launched sorry, it's a very crucial factor in what you're building. When I launched Yan GPT, right, I was lucky enough that it went viral on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Yes, 1 minute, sorry. I was lucky enough that it went viral. But one factor that aided my luck is the fact that I had an online presence. I had built a lot of solutions that were public. Oh, in fact, the screenshotter, the full thing was open source. There are developers who had seen it, who respected me as a developer because they had seen some of the work I've put out there, open source. And with that, people on GitHub get to know about the project. They reached out to me. So, like, with that, by putting open source products out there, but I don't mean it doesn't have to necessarily be open source, but the fact that it was open source helped me. But by putting product out there, many of them won't succeed. But the fact that you have something out there, you're already building a community. It's very easier for somebody who has a network on Twitter, somebody you know on Twitter that has been building something, even though one of them hasn't hit yet. It's very easy for him to build another thing out than for a new person to just come up on Twitter and put up something. I mean, nobody knows you, right? Somebody has been building something and we know him already. It's very easier for me to sit and retweet. So build an audience, basically. Also, feedback loop, yeah, very important. I mean, when you are building something, it's very easy to be strong-headed. Like me personally, when I'm building something, I have something I want to do. This is how I want to do it. Nobody can change me. But at some point, you have to find a way to get feedback from your users and add that feedback to the stubbornness you have in what you are building. I used to experience this stubbornness too in designers because you have this idea of how you want the website to be like, but you have to get feedback from user. Once you launch, get feedback from real people and take that feedback and include it to your app. Yeah, and also people will hate. People will hate actually. When you put something else out there, there are people who will be very who will be very strong with their criticism of you. Try time up. Okay. Okay, let me just finish that slide. You borrow me time. Yeah. So there are people who are very critical of you on Twitter. I mean, it's normal, but in between their hate, there's something there's something you can actually pick up from there. Some people will insult you, but there's still something important you can pick up from there. And most importantly, be ready to pivot. Anytime you put something out there and you see that it's not working, be ready to jump. Always have a backup plan. Be ready to jump ship. Oh, I put this out, it's not working. I'm ready to jump ship. And yeah, and a major experience from that was the screenshotter app when Elon Musk came. That's why I don't like Elon Musk now. He did some things with Twitter API that it was very expensive for people to use. And that means my app that I was using to brag, I built screenshotter. If I meet somebody in Unilag, I built screenshotter, go and check it out. So they were easy to rate me. All my old rating just died down because Elon Musk decided to introduce a new rule. Right? So always be ready to pivot. If this thing doesn't work out, this is the next product I'll build. Be ready to pivot. So because my time is over, this doesn't matter. So to end this thing, the world has enough clones, right? Build something that sounds like home. That sounds like build something for Nigeria. Just run them. Thank you very much.
Sorry, you guys can take good picture if you want to with him. And please drop your we are going to back to the main stage now. So you guys should please drop your headset on the chair. And if you want to take a group picture, you guys can come on stage with him. Please let's make it snappy. Thank you.